Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Vigor map tutorial. And today we are having a look at the cold islands of Anikken. Anikken is a large map with a large lobby of 8 to 12 players. It features a cluster of icy islands with a few settlements spread out and a massive cargo ship as an eye catcher. Personally, I find this map very fun to play. At first I thought this was just a snowy version of Fjallkanten, but I was wrong. So let's get started with the tutorial and our points of interest overview. Most of the points of interest spawn in or near one of the 3 settlements or the cargo ship, with the exception of Bard also spawning across the map in rare occasions at the smaller settlement. Timed and Bard are straightforward on this map, approach them with the necessary caution as you always would. For container, I recommend clearing a safe zone before approaching it, because most of the locations will leave you exposed. Although there are not a lot of bushes on this map, there are plenty of rocks to hide behind. Seeing the locations of all the points of interest here, we can also define the main playing field to be the right side of the map, the east side, where all the settlements actually spawn. This also means that a lot of the points of interest will be close together sometimes, creating a very interesting hot zone or location on the map. Next up is the loot distribution. Like I said, the 3 settlements are the top looting locations on this map, with a couple of medium locations at the other side of the map. The cargo ship itself is not really worth going for loot. The only thing that place is good for is getting ambushed by campy players. There are a lot of corners and I would avoid passing through it unless you are sure that it is a clear path. You can find a massive amount of fuel and electronics on Anikken, as well as glasses chemicals. This is one of the best maps to obtain high level loot, and if you can survive till the end, you are probably leaving with a full backpack. Metal, wire and nails are also present on the map, but are not worth picking up if you don't need them. Your backpack will be quickly filled with better types of loot. Because of the way the map is structured, you are also very likely to encounter one of the 3 blue lockboxes, which will also boost your loot here. And if you can find buried cash on top of that, you are definitely leaving with a jackpot of loot. I marked the 3 settlements as a green location for the loot, and a couple of other locations as yellow. These locations have good loot, but are a bit away from the playing field, which means that they may not be worth going to if you are not passing by them. And the cargo ship is marked red because it's not worth it. You will also find smaller loot locations throughout the little islands, but usually these will only hold metal and wire, maybe the occasional chemical. You will find them as you pass through the map, but they are not worth looking for. Moving on to the spawning locations. As usual, these may not be all the spawns, but I'm pretty sure I found most of them. I've played this map a lot lately. Common scenario is that there will be a player on each of the smaller islands, and on the bigger parts there will be 2 people spawning very close to each other, leading to very early conflicts in the better parts of the map, while players on the islands will be forced to travel and perhaps get into long-range conflicts. This does quickly thin out the lobby, so if you are still alive by the time that the airdrop comes, you probably did okay here. Keep in mind that the people on the islands are a little bit higher and have a longer line of sight, leading to early sniper fire if they brought a scoped weapon. Some people say that there is also a spawn near the cargo ship itself, but in all the games I've done, I have never spawned up at the cargo ship. The only closer spawns are actually to the right near the exit and to the left in that small destroyed settlement. Signals. There are only 4 spawning locations for it on Anikken. The one in the fisherman village and south of the craftsman village are the most important ones, as they are inside the main playing field, and they will quickly give you control over half of that area. The one near the St. Suzanne cross is good for controlling the nearby exit and the transit dock, but won't give you much leverage by staying close to it because there's nothing in that area. The 4th one on the smaller island is good at the start of the game to make your way into the main playing field, but kind of worthless besides that. Having a portable signal detector in the late game can provide you with valuable info on what path to take next, especially if you want to avoid conflict and just find a safe exit. Next up is the hot zones and map dynamics. I tried something new here graphically. The red zones are of course the early game hot zones. The lighthouse always seems to draw in some people for some reason, even though it doesn't really have a lot of value there. The fisherman village and the Siri town / transit dock will also have early game conflicts because it's where all the loot is. Same for the craftsman village and the area near it. This of course depends a lot on where signals and other points of interest will spawn. If signals and a safe spawn in the fisherman village, you can expect this to be a very busy area. If signal and container spawn near the craftsman village, that's where the most of the fighting will be in the early game. I placed the spawn points on this image together with some arrows of what the logical flow usually is. The red arrows are paths that I would avoid, green ones are the paths that are usually taken most by the players. You do not want to start traveling from the east to the west, and you also want to avoid that big patch of ice in the middle of the map because you are extremely exposed when crossing that way. The red lines are actually the long range engagements that I talked about earlier that you may encounter early game. This is usually between two different land masses. So how does this map really work? Well, like I said, I always thought this was just Fjallkanten with snow, but that's not how the dynamic actually works. The gameplay on this map is actually most comparable to that of Fisk. You have all the loot on one side with a large empty area on the other side. There are a couple of mechanics to slow down the players, like the icy paths and the water, and other players being able to see you from far away and taking pot shots at you. That's not to say that this is a bad map for snipers. People who are decent with one will get their needs fulfilled here, so definitely watch out for glints. And speaking of water, do not go in the water on this map. This is a cold map and the water will give you freezing damage. Also, like I said already, avoid that big chunk of ice in the middle because it's just a death trap. If you are crossing on the smaller chunks of ice, always make sure you have full stamina so you don't run out halfway. If you can secure one of the 3 villages and loot it, then you will have a nice amount of resources. If you can take 2 villages, you will have a buckload of resources. Jammers are also exceptionally useful here, as you can place these down while you loot the area and they will alert you for incoming traffic. Do keep in mind that you still need to exit and your exit options are limited. And Anikken only has 4 exits. This is a very low amount for a lobby and map that is so big. Which also ties into the comparison of Fisk. Fisk only has 3 open exits and 1 locked exit. I marked 3 of these exits in green. The one near the St. Suzanne Cross is easy to get to, but it is exposed to sniper fire from across the water, so keep that in mind. The one at the Craftsman Village, very easy to get to, very close to a looting area, so actually a perfect exit. But again, you will have some campers that will try to take you out from across the docks. Still, you should be able to exit here without much issue. If you've secured the area before you started looting, it shouldn't be a problem. The one north, near the unpronounceable location, Kapet, or whatever, the destroyed camp, let's call it that. The one near the destroyed camp is also easy to reach, close to the fisherman village, and has multiple sides from where you can enter the exit, and is, in my opinion, relatively safe. The last exit is the one at the lighthouse. I marked this one in yellow for a couple of reasons. First of all, the lighthouse seems to be a popular place for the wannabe campers. They think that sitting on top of the lighthouse is a top spot for sniping, but it's not. That does place them in a position where they can see you coming from far away and cut you off as you approach the little island to exit. Second reason is that it is very far from the main playing field. And if you are using this exit, then you should have a good reason to use it. Maybe your other exit was compromised or you went for the airdrop, but this exit should never be your first choice. It is far away and it takes a lot of time to get to, and if this one is camp, you have no alternatives. There are no real reasons to be on this side of the map when you want to exit, unless bards spawn near it and you don't feel like staying long. But you should actually be on the other side of the map near the end game, or near the end of your run actually. So that means the other 3 exits are always more viable for you than taking this one. Overall, all of these exits are far apart from each other, and reaching another one when radiation has already hit the map is not really a viable option. Do not underestimate the size of this map. you may be able to see very far away and think that you can get somewhere very quickly, but the water in between and the hills in between actually give you a lot more traveling time than you would expect. And with that, we have reached the end of the tutorial. To recap, it plays a bit like Fisk, so go watch that tutorial as well if you want to double up on tips and tricks. Great loot, probably one of the best maps for loot in this game. Please don't nerf it, devs, please don't nerf it. Avoid water and ice, and be aware that you have limited exit options. I think I could talk a lot more about this map, but I'm not gonna keep you too long. I hope this tutorial helps you, and all the other ones helped you as well, to be a better Outlander in Vigor. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, it helps out the channel a lot. And I hope to see you all in the next videos. Bye!